Have you ever heard the saying, rub some dirt on it? Well, if you're from the South, you've probably heard this quite a bit. So this is actually based on a scientific principle. So my name is Dr. Tracy Tyson. I'm a board certified pediatrician, and this is called the hygiene hypothesis. And this is a widely accepted scientific principle that states that a daily exposure to certain viruses, bacteria, and other microbes, such as fungus and yeast, are needed to build a healthy, strong, robust immune system. So this theory is actually being used for the anti-vaccine rhetoric, where people are saying, well, don't we need all of these exposures, these infections, in order to develop a natural immune system? Isn't it better for children to develop this immune system naturally? And it's a very different topic, so it's a great question. Let's talk about it. So the first thing is to remember, with that hygiene hypothesis, that was talking about exposure, not necessarily infection, right? So being exposed to an antigen or part of a bacteria, virus, fungus, yeast is needed so that your body has a constant exposure so it doesn't overreact, right? If you're never around something, you're more likely to overreact to it. If you're around it all the time, your body doesn't recognize it as so foreign, it kind of learns to live with it. So that's what the hygiene hypothesis is about, which is very different than natural infection versus vaccine related. So let's talk about that. When your child or you get a natural infection, and let's talk about viruses because they're easier, the virus is floating around your bloodstream. And as it's floating around, it grabs a hold of a cell in your body. And when it grabs a hold of it, it hijacks it. It hijacks it completely, where it can't do its job that it was needed to do. So its function in your body is now hijacked by the virus. The virus hijacks it, injects its DNA inside, it makes more of itself using your body's energy, and then when there's enough, it bursts open. All the baby viruses go out and attach to new cells. So it just keeps using your body's cell energy to make more of itself. So all of your cells are hijacked. And this is where the problem occurs, right? Your cells are not doing their job. So you can have bleeding, you're not carrying oxygen the way that you're supposed to. All those cells are not being used efficiently. The second part is the damage that occurs to those cells when they burst open. The body has to then use its leftover energy to go and repair those cells. All the while, it's trying to use its energy to fight the infection that it knows that is happening. So this is the problem with these infections, is that your cells are not doing their job. They become damaged, and your body is trying to fight the infection itself. And that's where the complications arise. You do get the memory and B cells that happen that you need to get immunity, but you're also getting all of the side effects. Whereas with a vaccination, you're getting an antigen, which is just a piece of the virus or bacteria presented to the immune system, but there's no hijacking of your cells, there's no damage to your cells. So your body is still able to keep up its normal processes and doesn't have to heal itself afterwards. The only thing that is happening is your immune system is getting stimulated. It is making the necessary immunity with no cell damage. So with the specific viruses and bacteria that we are preventing with vaccinations, it is always better to have the immunity from the vaccine than it is from the natural infection, because the end result is the immunity is the same. Sometimes it's even stronger in the vaccine related group because of the adjuvants that are used to push it forward. But you're not trying to heal the body, and the cells are not hijacked so that they're not able to do their job. So this is very different than the hygiene hypothesis. This is a totally separate mechanism, and they're not related. So again, I know that it is hard to understand. All of this gets confused and put together. But scientific research is done to try to do this explaining for you. And this is why the majority of physicians and scientists worldwide recommend vaccinations as the safest way to protect your child and your family and community from preventable diseases and their long-term outcomes. I hope this helps. It's a confusing topic. Great question by this family, by the way. It wasn't something that I knew to explain that way until they brought it up. So this is why we want your questions, because you guys sometimes think of things that we don't. So I hope this helps. If you have any comments or questions, please drop them down below. Take care.